Okay, welcome to how to change your strings on your guitar. We're going to be doing this lesson with a Strat, which has a fixed bridge. There's another lesson on how to work with a guitar that has a Floyd Rose system, but this is a Strat with a fixed bridge. Most guitars have this type of bridge. Les Pauls, Strats, Telecasters, a whole bunch of other types of guitars have what you call a fixed bridge. So what we do on this guitar, you could use the same methods on whatever other type of guitar you have. But again, if you have a Floyd Rose system or a floating bridge, there's a different lesson on how to do that because it's a different technique. So let me zoom in over here and I'll show you the tools I usually have hanging around when I change strings. I got my tuner, I have a peg winder, screwdriver if you need it, I have wire or string clippers. Then I have string cleaner, Guitar Honey, which is like lemon oil, which polishes the fretboard, and just body polish to clean it up afterwards. All right, and then I also like to have like an old shirt around or a cloth to help clean things up when we need it. All right, so what we're going to do first is take the old strings off of this guitar. Okay, so what we could do is take them all off at once. On Floyd Rose guitars, you want to take them off usually one at a time and replace them. But with anything like this, we're going to take them all off at once. All right, so this has locking tuners up here. So all I need to do is loosen up the actual lock, and they'll slip right off. We're going to switch guitars. I want to restring it to a regular type of tuning peg so that it'll probably relate a lot more to whatever type of guitar you're using. So what I want to do here though, after I loosen them up, just get your peg winder and unwind them so that they kind of come loose. Do that with each one, and what we're going to do is cut the strings over here so that we can get them off easier. So right now we're just loosening them up so that they come off easily. All right, cool. So now that they're kind of loose, we can get our wire cutters and just cut through them. Okey-doke. All right, good. So now that they're loose, they're a lot easier to kind of unwind here and pull out. Alright. So one at a time, you want to just take them. Watch out for the tips of the strings because usually they're sharp enough to poke right through you. So, okay, good. So those are all off. Now what we want to do with our other strings here, grab them all, and what we do is turn the guitar around, kind of push them through so that they pop out on the other end. And they'll usually just feed them all through so that they're all there, and you can grab them all at once and pull them through. All right? So now we should have all the strings off, and we can move on. Now, while the strings are off, this is a really good time to kind of get rid of any dust or stuff that kind of builds underneath the strings. It's hard to get at that areas when the strings are on. So once they're off, we can go ahead and wipe it down. Now, this guitar has a rosewood fretboard, all right? Rosewood is a more porous type of wood, and you want to try and keep it from getting dry. So every maybe like 3 or 4 times a year, what I like to do while the strings are off, if you see like kind of little white streaks, it's a good indicator that the fretboard's getting a little dry. So what we could do is take our Guitar Honey or lemon oil or whatever type of treatment stuff you have, spray a little bit on there on each going down the fret like that. And then we're going to take our cloth here and just kind of wipe it in. All right. You don't have to go too hard. You just kind of want to rub it on there so it's evenly on there, and then let it sit for a minute or two to kind of soak in. You should get a nice kind of shiny wood color on there, and again, that's going to help it so that the wood there stays or keeps from drying out. Okay, good. So now we're ready to put on our new strings. Well, I'm going to switch guitars though, because this other Strat I have has much more standard tuning pegs. All right. Also, if you notice, this one has a maple fretboard. Maple is a much denser wood than rosewood, so we don't really need to worry about it drying out too much because it won't really soak in any oil anyways. So we're pretty much good to go. Okay. So what we're going to start off with doing is getting our new strings. I prefer to use 10s, size 10 strings on my Strat. Any type of fixed bridge guitar, you can usually just try different strings if you want. Although this one, most Strats do have a whammy bar, which means in the back, if you look at the back plate is off here. So the springs here keep the bridge and the top into the guitar. Okay. Sometimes if you use heavier strings, it's going to lift the bridge a little bit, and if that happens, what you want to do here, there's two screws. You want to tighten those in until the bridge sits flat on the body. Usually if the bridge floats, you're going to have a lot of problems staying in tune because the string tension keeps the bridge in shape, and it's never going to kind of sit right if you don't keep it tight to the body. So we're going to take our first string here, the big E string, actually the 6th string. What I like to do here, just kind of unwind it a couple times and let it uncoil itself. All right. You want to be careful when it's like this to not bend it and kink it, because if you do that, it's going to stay that way and that'll affect the tone. So I just want to be careful when I'm handling this and keep it all the excess just kind of hanging down. So we're going to run this through the first hole here for the E string, the big E string. All right. And then look at it on the other side, pop through. You want to grab it and just pull it through little by little all the way. Again, I want to be careful not to kink it, so I want to gently do this. Now when it's there, you want to make sure it's nice and snug against the back plate. So kind of give it a tug and make sure it's tight. Then what I'm going to do is just run it along here. Okay, so we're going to start off by showing you one technique that's a little bit easier on how to tie this down to the post, all right? I'm going to zoom in a little. So that you can see what I'm doing. All right, let me see if I can fix this glare a little bit. Okay, cool.